Well, good morning, Wareham. It is Friday, July 12th, and we have a great show here for you. The news headlines, the weather report, and today in history. This morning, Chairman of the Board of Selectmen, Mr. Patrick Tropiano, joins us for some town politics. Also, your favorite Russian updates us on the local news and events. We also have a special visitor from the Friends of Wareham Free Library. Priscilla Porter is here to talk about the library. And last but not least, Alan Slavin is in for the coffee chat. But first, I would like to take this moment to thank Not Your Average Antiques, an antique shop down Cranberry Highway in East Wareham, for donating the props that you see in the morning show. So stay tuned because the weather and the news are next. Well, I got sunshine for you for your rainy day. The rain will stop around 11 this morning to give way to some sunshine. Of course, Wareham was under flash flood warning earlier today, high at 86, partly cloudy skies at night, with more rain starting in the evening time, low at 67. It is going to be a great weekend weather-wise, plenty of sunshine. Saturday high at 84 and low at 67. Sunny on Sunday with high at 89 and low at 62. And there were plenty of news over the week. We'll be right back with the news headlines. Well, instead of reading news, how about discussing it? My favorite Russian is our first guest of the day. We're going to discuss the weekly news and the events. Welcome, Nadia.
Hi, Gwen.
Hi, how you doing?
Great, thanks.
Well, thank you for being here. Were you here last Friday too?
No,
we didn't have a show last Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder. I didn't see your face. Okay, so Nadia, you've been busy.
Yeah.
Okay. You look like you had a lot of time to recover.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, so we are going to talk about methyl ban cancel.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, there was a hearing by the Board of Selectmen, right? A town meeting?
Yes, so the public hearing that was originally scheduled for July 17th about the Board of Health's proposal to ban mint, methyl, and wintergreen and other flavored tobacco products was cancelled.
Okay,
yes.
So tell me about this hearing. What triggered it? Why is the board looking to ban all flavored tobacco?
Well, the board's main argument was that flavored tobaccos, they kind of give an easy way to start smoking because they're not as strong as just regular cigarettes. They have like a pleasant flavor to them. Although this argument seems unusual to me because only person who is over 21 can purchase these tobacco products, flavored tobacco products. So to me, this argument doesn't really make sense because if someone buys cigarettes, they're already old enough to smoke.
Okay,
yes.
So the law is very clear, and that is tobacco flavored or not, just like any vice such as the alcohol or marijuana, you have to be of age, and that is 21 years old.
I'm not sure about regular cigarettes, but I know that flavored cigarettes, tobacco, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So they're trying to cancel it because they're saying that it's giving way. It's almost like the gateway to more stronger tobacco.
Yes,
right?
To like more addiction to tobaccos. That's correct.
Addiction to tobacco.
Yes.
So whom are they trying to save here?
Well, I think they're just trying to stop this smoking trend.
Okay.
But one of the interesting things that my editor and I found out over this week is that this ban is actually a health regulations. It's not a bylaw.
Okay.
So it means that Board of Health can actually pass this ban without town meeting approval. but they're not doing this because 6 other towns in Massachusetts passed this ban, and the Cumberland farms are suing them right now. So Wareham just want to see how this lawsuit will play out before passing this ban or not passing this ban.
Well, to me, that is okay. They're trying to ban it because they're saying that it's bad for your health, trying to protect the young ones and all that, right? So for them to cower back because somebody is going through a lawsuit that they are worried they may be in the same position, I feel like it's a coward move. I mean, why else would they do this if they didn't have the muscle to proceed either way?
Exactly, I know what you're talking about. It's like go big or go home.
Yes. And they frustrated the whole town. I mean, this was not a popular discussion.
Yes.
You know, so they frustrated the whole town only for them to cancel the discussion.
Yeah, that's exactly. They frustrated the whole town. But what I think why they like stopped right now is because they know that even if they pass the ban, that's my opinion, people will still go to other towns to buy flavored tobacco products. So maybe they think that, or just since people are still going to buy these products, maybe it's not worth all these lawsuits and the money that we're going to pay for the scandal.
Well, that begs the question: how in depth did they think about this before they actually went forward with it?
That's a great question.
Yeah, because all these are great points. That is, people are going to buy from other towns. They're going to bring businesses to other towns.
Yes.
Therefore, how effective will this be at the end of the day? How open are they to talk to you, the Board of Health, to discuss your concerns?
They are open. It just takes a while to get a hold of them. But they are open to discuss this. Well, right now they cannot add anything more because the process is stopped. So it's just a matter of time until we'll see how other lawsuits will play out, and then we'll think about this.
Well, how are businesses in town responding?
Very bad, obviously.
Yeah.
Because their major sales come from tobacco shops. Their major sales obviously come from tobacco products. And if they stop flavored tobacco sales, their sales will decrease while people will continue smoking flavored tobacco, which they obtained in different towns.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So that was one. So that hearing was actually scheduled for next Wednesday, right?
July 17th.
July 17th on Wednesday. So that got canceled. Okay. So you were here to talk about Lopes Park in Onset.
Yes. I just thought it was a very interesting topic, is that because this park was built this playground was built 30 years ago, and it constantly had flooding issues, some problems, and people have been trying for a while to raise money to renovate it, and I think it's finally happening. The Core Wareham, which is a non-profit group which is dedicated to improving outdoor recreation, are funding this project for renovation.
So this has been in the works for a very long time now. One of the major issues was whether the park will be rebuilt in the same location due to flooding. How are they responding to that?
It's going to be in the same location. It's just there are going to be better fences, better protection, and also the ground will be covered with rubber.
Yes.
Rubberized. I know how to write it, I'm not sure how to say it.
No, but I also have my words that I can't, I have trouble with. However, what I'm saying is they were concerned of spending all this money only for it to be a flood zone, so whether it was worth it or not. So you're telling me they have decided that it is worth it?
It is, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so it's going to be open to all children, even the handicaps?
Yes, they're actually going to install the access for handicapped people. And they're going to install new fences, which I don't know. I want to see it. It says that the piggies are going to be made out of recycled milk bags, cartons. Yes.
Okay.
Which I want to see. I don't know how it looks like. And what I found interesting is that the playground, the swings that were installed at Minot, they are going to be demolished and installed at the Lopes Park playground.
Now, do we have a time frame? There are a lot of talks about this playground, and I'm not sure what is the schedule look like.
Yeah, that's a great question. I couldn't get the time frame. I was also looking for it. They're just waiting there for the town approval. They haven't got it yet for some reason.
All right. Okay, so then last but not least, tomorrow, Saturday, there are some events. You're going to be covering the pork, what should we call it? Pork roast
Yes.
and summer barbecue?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
One of the updates, so it starts at 3, it runs from 3 to 6. And one of the updates that I wanted to bring is that bonfire will not be happening, which I found very frustrating because I love bonfire.
So bonfire is not going to be happening?
No, only a roast pig, summer barbecue, everything but bonfire.
Okay.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Wait, did you just buy your marshmallows ready to?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
So this event is going to be open to the entire public?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me about the details of it. What time should people be there?
It starts at 3, so whenever at 3.
Yeah, okay.
From 3 to 6, and for adults it's going to cost $25. For children it's going to be half the cost, which I thought was very weird. Why half? Why not like a round number?
A round number? Like
yes,
what?
like 11 or 12. So 25. It's going to be like 12.5 for children.
Yeah, you are so funny. You're human. Why half? Okay,
Yes.
so you're thinking of $12.50.
Yes.
Okay, but they're okay. All right. They should have made you in charge of the ticket sales.
Exactly. Yes.
So you're going to be attending, but the bonfire has been canceled, I think, because of the schedule conflict. What else will you be looking forward to?
Tomorrow?
Yes.
So tomorrow is also going to be happening a summer garden tour, which happens once every 2 years.
Oh my God! Have you ever? Yeah, of course you've never attended.
No, it's going to be an honor for me. I know.
It is amazing. Do you have a sunny dress? Do you have a yellow sunny dress?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have like a summer hat?
Yes, I do.
Fantastic. And you got lovely sandals.
Okay, yes, I do.
That's how you should be dressing.
Okay.
Make sure you got your pearls on. All right. If not, go to, I don't know, someplace they will sell them cheap. Okay, get your pearls on and just be a lady tomorrow, because it's all about that. These homes are spectacular.
Really?
Oh my God! Never mind the garden, just the homes.
Interesting.
Oh, I'm jealous. Actually, maybe
you should come. Why not?
Go tomorrow. Absolutely. Okay, I'll tag along.
It's going to start at 9.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll make sure I have my summer dress on and the hat and everything.
I thought you made like summer dress for Instagram pictures. That's why I was confused.
No. It's like it's just the whole the entire event. It's just you'll be inspired by these homes and some of the gardens, and you may be expecting flowers, but some people just maybe, I don't know, they use rocks and the way they arrange it and blah 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 blah. It's like, oh,
interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So anything else for you this weekend?
No, it's just a small update that the treatment factory has a cleanup.
Oh,
so the sidewalks are going to be open, but the cleanup is going to continue for 3 months, and the river that passes the treatment nail factory is going to be closed for kayaking as of now.
Okay, so people cannot kayak, but they can access Echo, the store?
Yes, it's going to be open.
Okay.
And it's going to continue for 3 weeks.
Okay, it's going to continue for 3 weeks. At least they're doing something in this town.
Yeah.
Did you cover the story about the lady whose bicycle was stolen?
Yes, yesterday. It was such a sweet story.
Why didn't you include that? Okay, tell me about that.
So it was such a sweet story, I almost cried. So there is a Thai student on J1 visa, which is non-immigration visa, which allows you to work in the United States.
Yes.
So she's a student at the Thailand University, and she came to US to travel.
Okay.
And she works currently at Dunkin' Donuts, and she secured her bike, but it was stolen at Dunkin' Donuts. So Wareham police say she not only investigated the crime, but they didn't find the bike, but they bought her a new one. And they gave it on the same spot the bike was stolen. And she was so happy, like it made me so happy. She was crying and she was like so happy. It was a great moment.
Was our chief there?
Yes, Volsik was there.
Oh my goodness, yes. I wish I was there for that story.
Oh wait, didn't Volsik call you?
No.
Okay.
Maybe he sent an email. I shouldn't bash him. He probably sent an email. But yes, that's such a sweet story. It's good that they do. It is a sweet story,
yes. I'm so happy we have some positive news in the newspaper.
Yeah. Also, she's still working at Dunkin' Donuts?
Yes, exactly. She's still in East Wareham.
Okay. Securing her bicycle?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll also give you a free lock as well, actually.
You know, they should put it as like a property of Wareham Police Department.
Yes.
You know.
If you steal it, you're screwed.
Yeah, if you steal, you're screwed. Well, thank you so much, Nadia, for being here. So that was Nadia Karitinakova, our weekly news correspondent, here to cover the news and this week's events. We are going to take a break to see which one of my guests are here. Yes, so that was Nadia Karitinakova, and to continue on with our program this morning, unfortunately, two of our guests aren't here. That is Priscilla Porter of Friends of Wareham Friends of Wareham Free Library, and also the chairman of Wareham Board of Selectmen, Mr. Patrick Tropiano, who forgot to make an appearance this morning. So the show must continue, and therefore we are going to watch a video regarding the cranberry industry in Wareham and the Cranberry Experimental Center that is also located in Wareham that is working to secure the vitality of the cranberry industry. Here is a little bit about the station. From the bogs, the vines, to the berry, cranberries are one of the most unique fruits, and its industry influences the economy and character of southeastern Massachusetts. Cranberries are so important that there is an entire department, an entire facility dedicated just for their survival. That place is nowhere but right here in Wareham. Just off Spectacle Pond Road at One State Bog Road in East Wareham stands the UMass Cranberry Station. This affiliate of the University of Massachusetts Amherst traces back to 1911 under the guardianship of Dr. Henry Franklin. For longer than 100 years, the station has been conducting experiments and research on behalf of the cranberry industry in Massachusetts.
Our whole mission is to really provide whatever horticultural resources and solutions that the growers need in order to remain viable within this area, and to also have environmental stewardship, so that we, think about the citizens that live in this area and the impact that our industry has.
Using experiments, the center helps farmers to be flexible with the industry's demands. Currently, farmers are under pressure to produce a certain quality of berry, distinguished by color and firmness, a task that has fallen on Dr. Giverson Mupambe.
But sometimes what we've noticed in the past seasons that growers are struggling to get that color. So these plant growth regulators that we're thinking about, we're thinking specifically of abscisic acid, which has been shown to improve the anthocyanin concentration. So anthocyanin is the pigment that gives the fruit its red color.
Dr. Mupambe is searching for whether improving formation of anthocyanin may produce the right shade of redness. Furthermore, he is studying canopy management.
Because the other factor when you think about fruit colors, you need light penetration into your canopy. How much light penetration do you get in the canopy, and does that result in a more uniform coloring within the canopy? So normally if you go in the canopy and you open it up, you find that the berries at the bottom of the canopy, usually they struggle to color up, even when you have like a nice uniform red color on the top. And we think some of that has to do with the lack of light penetration into the bottom of the canopy.
There is also the challenge of climate change. Take anthocyanin, for example. The color pigment is triggered by light penetration, but mostly by cooler temperatures. Our most recent winters haven't been favorable.
I don't know if you remember last September, we probably had 6 or 7 nights. It didn't go below 70 degrees, and that's way too warm. And so what's happening is that the color doesn't develop, and the handlers want you to bring in a fruit that has a certain amount of red pigment, because that's what cranberries are known for. So you're waiting for the color development, but the longer the fruits stay out in the bog, the greater chance that they're going to lose quality, because they're going to start succumbing to fruit rot.
The abundance of rainfall also has proved irresponsible, at times flooding the vines, which can lead to fruit loss. Though irrigation is important, specifics matters, as Dr. Peter Jerenyama explains.
You can't grow a plant without water. But then the question becomes, how much water do we need to put in there? Because we have a tendency of over-irrigating. Like, there's this notion that cranberry requires 1 inch of water a week, 1 inch of water per week. But that is not based on any scientific reasoning.
So Dr. Jerenyama and his colleagues have come up with something called evaporated demand, a way to determine the exact amount of water needed at a given time.
Right here, I'm carrying one of the sensors. This is called a tensiometer. You can view this like a big, a giant root in the soil. So it has a ceramic tip. So having a ceramic, so you put this device in the soil, and the water is going to be absorbed through the ceramic tip. And the amount of water that is taken into the cylinder will equate to a certain amount of pressure that will be recorded on a recording device. So we've come up with a relationship between stress levels based on the tension that you get in the soil. So the wetter the soils are, the lower the tension is going to be. And the drier the soils are, the greater the tension is going to be. So that's why we know when it is too wet or when it is too dry.
The center is also helping farmers harvest berries that can make the weight. Currently, the incentive starts at $4.55 to $5.50 kilogram per millimeter. What have you seen in terms of maybe trends with pesticides? What is threatening the berry at the moment?
So our trends with pesticides have been moving away from very toxic, broad spectrum, particularly insecticides, to things that we call reduced risk, that are more targeted.
We do have some cranberry insects that are pests, and a lot of them. Because it's a native fruit, we have 25 different insect pests. He's rolled up because he's been eating cranberry all day. There's a gypsy moth there and then another cutworm. Cranberry weevil is a tiny insect that has been causing a lot of trouble this year. We do have to put on sprays to manage these insects or they will eat all of your flowers and you will get no cranberries. So in entomology, we have 25 or 30 different insects that we're always thinking about. And there are new insects like scale. If you can imagine that you have your upright and there's something that looks like that on there, so you can't even see it unless it's under the microscope. This is a new insect that we haven't seen in 80 years. So that one's kind of cool. And right now the crawlers, little babies, are being released out of there, so that's another problem for the growers.
Why are they coming back after 80 years?
Either because there's climate change and good conditions for them, or we're not using broad spectrum pesticides anymore where we're spraying and killing everything so that there's the opening for them, or we have new varieties that are softer tissued and give them the option. We don't know.
Are there any pesticides that are good for the berry?
We do have a number of insecticides now that instead of being broad spectrum, they're specific to the insect. And yes, the one that we have, cranberry fruitworm, which is a little moth that lays its egg on the berry as it's developing, we have a new compound called Altacor that doesn't hurt bees, doesn't hurt us, but targets just that fruitworm. So we feel that that's the magic new insecticide that we have that has really helped us out. Of course, it costs about $50 an acre, so it's expensive for the growers.
The services and research conducted here are available to farmers for free. The center helps farmers connect to the bottom line on the cost saved and the money made if they choose to implement the knowledge. But lately, knowledge hasn't been enough as the industry faces substantial doubts. Would you say the industry is flourishing?
No, not at all. The industry is very much struggling at this time because there's an oversupply of fruit, and so prices are depressed. And so it's predicted that for the majority of the industry this year, growers will be paid less per barrel than it costs them to produce that barrel. So we figure it costs maybe $25 to $30 a barrel to produce it. Growers are probably going to be paid $20 or less. So they'll actually be losing money for every barrel of cranberries that they produce.
So then they come to you and they from what you told me, the industry is struggling. They're facing an enormous amount of stress from the handlers.
Yep.
So what do they say to you?
And what do we say to them? I mean, you know, what's really hard about this industry is that we know a lot of our growers. I mean, you know, some of them are friends. At least
growers are pushed to diversify in order to supplement their income. Currently, an area of interest is on renewable energy. Tell me about the research when we're looking at renewable energy. How does it fit in with the cranberry bogs?
So, well, and then again, that's a great question. If you drive just down 495, you'll see that there's some windmills out there. So some of the growers are looking into wind energy, again, to supplement their farm income, which is on a downward trek, unfortunately. And then solar farms are something that some growers are looking at. There's the dual use SMART program, which the state is looking for, trying to provide some ways for farms to diversify so they can have alternate forms of income. So that's one way. It's still very much in a fledgling state. You know, there are not any cranberry projects yet where they're still trying to grow cranberries with the solar panels on top of them.
To briefly summarize the UMass Cranberry Center, think of it as a hospital, strictly for the cranberries. Whether you are a grower or just a consumer, there is so much to be learned about this northern native perennial berry. So it seems like there are a lot of cool things that are happening here. I will call them miracles, but how far can your work extend? What can you not do in regards to the berry?
Well, as far as us specifically here, we don't do any genetic breeding here. A lot of that work is going on down in New Jersey at Rutgers University or out at the University of Wisconsin. So they actually have breeding programs because, as you could imagine, with a perennial woody fruit, it's a long-term commitment to be able to do that. And so we felt as the industry, it's expensive, and just to have it located in those two areas works well. We don't do anything that involves product development. food science. We specifically don't do those kinds of things, nor anything directly related to health benefits. So we're really very horticultural, production, pest management oriented.
The center's current projects include, but not limited to, researching solar panels on cranberry bogs, using drones to map plant stress in order to evaluate irrigation techniques, understanding the biology of scale, all while keeping an eye on climate change. Well, hello, and thank you for joining us this morning. We are broadcasting live from our WCTV studio in Wareham. This is Good Morning Wareham, your source for local news, weather report, traffic report, and more information. And now for a moment in history, let's take a look at where we were today in history. So today we're going to do a lightning round for today in history because we got a lot. On this day in 1984, this is Geraldine Ferraro, named vice presidential candidate for Walter Mondale, the first ever woman to run for the position in major American party. The duo was beaten, however, by Ronald Reagan and George Bush Sr. And also today in 1979, the infamous disco demolition night held by the Chicago White Sox led to riots and 39 arrests. The crowd of disco haters destroyed thousands of disco records and is said to have contributed to the death of disco. And also today in 1862, Abraham Lincoln created the Medal of Honor, the highest honor a member of our military can get. The first recipients were 6 members of Union Army who caused massive damage to the Confederates in enemy territory. And also today in 1861, the Confederate States of America completed treaties with several Native American tribes, promising them protected land and allowing them to send representatives to their Congress in exchange for their support fighting the Union. Of course, we all know how that ended up. And also for today, we have birthdays. Our first birthday is, in order for me not to mess up his name, it's Henry David Thoreau, also known as that guy who wrote about ponds in Massachusetts. He was born today in 1817. Also, Bill Cosby, the iconic American comedian who has fallen from grace in the recent years, was born today in 1937. Followed by Malala Yousafzai, female rights advocate and the youngest Nobel Prize winner ever, turns 22 years old today. That's all for today in History segment. To learn cool historical facts, please go online under history.com. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more. The coffee segment is next. But first, Stephen Miller goes over this month's book club picks.
Welcome to our first installment of Your Eyes Checkout of the Week from the Wareham Free Library. This week, we're going to highlight books that our book clubs are reading this month. Our first book is Homicide in Hardcover by Kate Carlisle, the book that our mystery book club is reading this month. When Surgeon Adam Karavosky leaves Detective Brooklyn Wainwright the cryptic message, "Remember the devil," and a priceless copy of Goethe's Faust in a pool of his own blood, it's up to her to figure out who the murderer is so she can clear her own name. This month, the the Friday Fiction Book Club will be reading Grief Cottage by Gail Goodwin. When 11-year-old Marcus is sent to live with his great aunt on a remote island in South Carolina, he becomes intrigued with a mysterious cottage where a boy and his parents disappeared 50 years before. When Marcus begins to visit the cottage daily, a ghost of the boy appears and Marcus begins to court the ghost, never sure whether the ghost's intentions are friendly or sinister. Lastly, the nonfiction book club pick is Ages for Hawk by Helen MacDonald. MacDonald recounts the story of how she adopted and raised a young goshawk to help her cope with her father's death. The book was among the top 25 lists for 17 different publications, and it was named to the New York Times bestseller Book of the Year list. If you're interested in joining our popular mystery book club, they meet on the second Thursday of the month at the main library. The Friday Fiction Book Club meets on the third Friday of each month at the Spinney Library, and the Nonfiction Book Club meets on the fourth Thursday of each month at the main library. If you'd like to join one of our book clubs, you can pick up any of these books at the circulation desk of the main library, where copies are available in regular print, large type, and audio.
Well, hello and welcome back. Good morning, Wareham continues. This is the coffee segment with me, the second guest who was able to make it here today, Mr. Alan Slavin, your favorite selectman, in the studio to talk about, well, several things. Route 28 and 6 construction that nobody is able to notice. Also, sump pumps. We're also going to talk about tobacco ban, the issue that the Board of Health is dealing with. In addition to, well, this is going to be Selectman's legacy. That is reinforcing yard sale signs. Well, all that and more to come. So welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here today.
It's raining today.
Well, you said it stopped.
Well, it was raining.
It was raining. Okay, so how about this? I think we should start with Route 28 and 6 construction.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen another article. They say that the construction has begun.
Well, as always, we always say newspapers never lie, but of course.
They're lying?
Yeah, as always. It says the construction is going to finish in 2023.
Yes.
I'm hoping not too many businesses have taken guns out to shoot themselves, because that's not true. The construction will be done probably within 2 years. What's happened is, and at least for my end, I was not notified by the state, but I did check the contract. There was no seasonal restriction on the contract to RA Landers, and the decision was made, and they may have contacted municipal maintenance in town, I don't know, but I know that I didn't get the information directly that they've decided they're going to work through July and August, which we thought originally we were told they would not do. But the information I got was that if they did not work July and August, the project would take 3 years in total time. What you're seeing right now with the signs out there is that they're digging holes for poles, they're doing soil samples, and they're going to be doing some drainage work initially. Then they'll eventually get into starting the actual road construction. So you probably won't see anything for a while, and then hopefully they won't be taking more than one lane of the overall 4 lanes at a time to work on as they go. Same thing they did with the Narrows Cohasset Bridge.
Yes.
It should work the same way. That bridge took quite a while because a lot of major construction work for the bridge, but it never really backed up traffic badly or caused any real problems because they did it correctly.
Okay, so that's what you're expecting in the, you're assuming maybe 2 years, not 3 years as
Yeah, I think they made a decision at Mass DOT, which controls all of it. Everybody has to remember this is a state road. The town of Wareham has no input really into it because it's not our property, it's theirs. And they're the ones who put the contract out, they set the regulations, etc. All we did as a town was say, yes, we'd like to get it done. And the reason that I push for it in particular is safety.
Absolutely.
You know, I know it's going to hurt some of the businesses. When I was in business a long time ago, there was construction where I was in my business, one of them in Alston, Brighton, and it does affect you. And I'm not oblivious to the fact, and I've been trying to find ways of having remediation if possible, if businesses have serious cash flow issues, if this is an impact. I haven't been able to come up with anything. I've been after the state to see if they do something. I haven't got an answer back that makes me happy yet. But we are looking at it, and we do understand that it'll be a win-win, but right now it looks like it's not a real win for some of the merchants on that road.
Okay, but it's going to be a win in terms of safety, as you mentioned, a lot of accidents there.
Yeah, 150 a year on average. And it's not even that, it's the closeness of people. You watch people drive down the road, and they'll just out of the blue take a left-hand turn in either direction, cutting across the 2 lanes of traffic, and they'll be on their cell phone or whatever else. And it's just, it's every day there's accidents that are so close, it's unreal.
Pedestrians walk, and we have those motels there, we have fast food.
And we have liquor stores across from, unfortunately. And
yes.
It's like a magnet right across.
Absolutely.
And fast food restaurants. It's very much...
Waterways, it's very busy in the summer.
Well, it's like Route 9 used to be out in Natick. At one time, way back, it used to be an open lane like that. You have to divide it. A lot of people say they should have put concrete barriers right down the middle of the road. But if you have to get an emergency with an ambulance in the middle between the turns, that means you got to go all the way down and around. This smaller berm allows ambulances, police cars, and fire trucks to drive up and over, which means people, if they still want to, they could maybe attempt to get 2 lanes over, stop on the median, up in the air a little bit, and then go the rest of the way. But hopefully it will stop most of the people from doing that.
Okay, and then we're going to have sidewalks, we're going to have crosswalks, we're going to have bicycle lanes. Yeah,
the bicycle lanes, I'm not too...
Since when do bicycle people stay on the bicycle lane?
Well, this would be a fairly good, width for a bicycle lane, so they could easily do it. My problem is people daydreaming, driving their cars, they get on their cell phones, etc. Do they stay within their lanes, or do they start to drift off and wipe somebody out? So, for myself, I don't think I would drive a bicycle down Route 6 and 28 with a bike lane.
Is it going to be secured with no divider, nothing?
No.
Okay.
Not that I know of right now.
And of course, we cannot add any 2 cents into the matter because
it's engineered and all approved by Mass DOT. Matter of fact, the only reason the bike lane is in there is because Mass has a basic policy when they build roads today, they build bike lanes, sidewalks, etc.
Okay, trying to make people take the healthier route.
Yeah, it's required. And what's happening because of it, the state owns 40 feet from the true center line of the road, not what we see as the center line. They own 40 feet on both sides, so there have been a whole bunch of takings and easements, etc. So some businesses have issues with signs having to be moved, etc. But like I say, it's not a win-win, it's not a lose-lose, but at the end of the day, long-term it should be better for the road overall, but it's going to be a long-term change.
Okay. You know, I'm thinking in terms of what makes a town a better town or why people should move into Wareham versus other towns. I normally look at schools. Schools drive property sales.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do roads add any extra points to that?
I think roads, if roads are engineered right and streets are engineered right, it does have a benefit. But you know, it's got to be consistent throughout the whole region, wherever you're at. You can't just have one little section fine and the rest of it not fine. So there is a benefit, but it's got to be something that's adopted for everything.
Okay. All right, so now we're going to talk about sump pumps.
Okay.
Mr. Patrick Tropiano was supposed to be here this morning to discuss this with me.
Well,
So-
Patrick has to work for a living, just so you know, so I'm sure something came at work he couldn't
Yes.
get out of. I'm not involved very much with it. Obviously, it's really the sewer commissioners. I do know that since my wife is a sewer commissioner, that I've heard some of the noise about it. The problem is that people have sump pumps, especially like Swiss Beach area, and there's others where their house is basically, foundation is right down close to the water level. You know, some places you can dig 2-3 feet down and pick it and hit water.
Yes.
You know, so therefore their basements are always flooding. And when there's a lot of rain like we had this morning, you'll find a lot of water will get in some people's basement. Well, they put a pump in there, and they take that water that they're pumping and they put it into, it goes into the sewer. You know, it goes in and goes into our sewer system. So what happens is we're sitting there and we're pumping, not a little bit, we're pumping thousands of gallons of clean water through the sewer system, which is costing everybody extra money that's on it, and it's of no use to anything. It shouldn't be that way. It should be basically, you know, put out so it goes back into the yard somewhere, or whatever they can do. And one example was we had, I think it was Danny Warren was doing a project for the town relining pipes in Swiss Beach. Well, you can't sit there, those pipes have to be dry so they can put the material in and everything else. And we had some storm or whatever, and all of a sudden all these sump pumps kicked in that area, and I think there was 6 or 7 homes they know about definitely, and it went in and destroyed $71,000 worth of work, which, you know, the town pays, which means basically, you know, the consumers that are on sewer eventually pay. So this is not fair, you know, to the majority who are doing the right thing.
Now, do we have a number how many of our residents are breaking the bylaw?
Not really. The only way you can do that, which is very difficult, is you have to, I think the sewer department has the right to go in and inspect basements. I don't want to say 100% how it works, but they could go in and physically check everybody's basement. If there was a sump pump, they could either find them or have it taken out or whatever. You know, I hate to see, you know, local government get so draconian that we're sitting there like a police state. I would be hoping that people would understand, yeah, there's an issue because you have water in your basement, but at the same time, let's do it the right way and not the wrong way, because it's not right. I mean, the minority, you know, basically cause the problem for the majority always. But I'm sure there are quite a few in the town of Wareham.
Now, how are they planning to reinforce it? How are we planning to reinforce this once we actually
Well,
get the numbers?
they can smoke the pipes.
Well, tell me about the smoking of the pipes.
It's basically you're putting in material like, you know, chemical and whatever it is, and you can see where the water's coming from. So they can sit there and do a section at a time. They can see if someone is running a pump. That's how they found out basically the last time. You know, so they can do that, and then they can go in if they have a reason. Again, I'm not sure legally how they get it done. Go in and check to see if there's a sump pump in there.
How long was this, or has this been a problem in our town?
Probably, well, I would have to say sump pumps got to be 50 years or more.
50 years? So why now? Why are we waking up to this now?
Well, because now all of a sudden, we didn't start sewering the town till 1970. So all of a sudden now we have systems that are 40, 50 years old that are failing. And as they're failing, and you have 2 choices. Either you dig up, replace everything that's there, which is prohibitively expensive, or we have this new system that the company in Middleborough developed where they can reline the pipes and actually makes the pipe stronger than the original and solves the issue. And for probably, I'm going to say, maybe 15 to 20% the cost of digging up and doing everything else. So we're discovering this as we're going along. That's the only reason why. When everything's working fine, it's not a problem. But we're at capacity for the plant. So that means if you get all these thousands of gallons of water coming in that shouldn't be treated at all, you're hitting your max capacity, and then basically you have to shut everything off. And you're having the lagoons where the stuff sits. It's what we have a problem right now with smell in the area. And with all this extra water coming in, the lagoons get overfilled and almost flooded, and you can't process quick enough. So it just compounds itself.
Yeah. What would we risk if this is not handled correctly?
Basically, it will overtax the capacity of the water pollution control facility and cause the state to come down and not only fine us, but they won't shut the system down, but the town might be faced with a major expense and some kind of expansion, which we have no money in place for.
We always don't have money in place for anything.
No, the country doesn't either, but that doesn't matter.
All right. Now to tobacco.
Okay. Obviously,
Okay.
everybody has to understand that the Board of Health in every city and town in Massachusetts is appointed by their mayor or their town council, and the town council, not the lawyer, but a town council, or selectmen, etc. And that's where it ends.
That's where it ends.
That's where it ends. They are regulated by the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. They are basically an entity which is completely separate from the town as far as regulations, etc. They're allowed to put in their own regulations. And most of it doesn't have to go before town meeting either. So they can sit there and do things that we can't do. What I've heard about the menthol and the vape, etc., is that I think 5 or 6 towns have passed laws, banning these particular products. I believe it's Cumberland Farms, if I read right, is doing a class suit against those towns. So at this point here in time, I know that our health inspector has put a hold on the actual meeting. We were supposed to have the 17th, and he's going to wait and see what the actual court case, how it comes out. It makes no sense to do anything while this is in court. The other piece is, which is really a better answer to all this is, if Wareham was to pass this, and the 5 or 6 towns around us didn't have the same thing, you're not fixing anything, because all you're going to do is drive your residents to go to those other 5 or 6 towns and buy the product. And therefore, you're penalizing the merchants in the town of Wareham because you say they can't sell it here, but yet everybody around you is selling it. There's a moral issue and everything else, but the bottom line is it doesn't work.
What was the merit behind this
I can't
ruling?
answer that. I have no idea.
But just as a citizen, informed one, what do you think? What are they trying to prove? Whom are they trying to save
I
here?
think they're figuring that maybe these products aren't safe. It's a health issue. Again, it's the Department of Public Health, so it's,
Alcohol is not safe.
well, unfortunately,
Marijuana is not safe.
we're not disagreeing.
So why tackling tobacco? And it has the regulations. You have to be 21 years old. I mean, how long or to what extent are we going to monitor our citizens? For at the end of the day, if somebody wants to smoke tobacco and they're at the right age and they have the money,
Well,
let it be.
If they're the right age, yeah. Well, that's what's happening. I mean, the marijuana thing passed, and look at all the people that are still upset about it. It's what it is.
It's what it is. And as you mentioned, if other towns are going to sell this, business is going to go elsewhere.
Yeah, it doesn't, it really should be, if the state of Massachusetts, which has a couple bills pending, wants to ban these products, plus the vaping and stuff, then everybody in the state is bound by it.
And we were to wait for that.
I would prefer to wait for that.
Are you able to whisper your 2 cents to the board?
No. It shouldn't. That would be ethics violation as far as I'm concerned.
Now, you were going to attend. Were you going to attend the meeting?
No.
That was, okay, the 17th, you weren't going to attend the meeting?
No, because again, it's outside my jurisdiction.
Okay. Not even as a citizen?
No,
All right.
I don't smoke. Anything.
Well, I'm trying to say if we in the town, we have the luxury of, I cannot use this other word, but making our business, pretty much upsetting our businesses.
Yeah, but in this particular case here, I would
They
hope,
bring in revenue.
but I would hope and expect that the business people in the town of Wareham that would be affected by this would get up and come to that meeting and express their opinion, because they're the ones that are directly affected. I don't think it's the place of a selectman to sit there and say, hey, we can't do this because of this or that. It's really the citizens on both sides should be up there talking about it.
Okay.
Because that we're trying to we're having selectmen influence how a board works that really is not under their control except we appoint them.
Okay.
And I don't want the board members to think that if you don't do something a certain way,
won't
we
be
won't
appointed.
be appointed, and that's a problem.
Now, in terms of the hearing, how much power does the board have? If people say no, we are against this, does the board have to abide by the people's ruling?
No.
They can make it.
They're
their own
autonomous.
ruling. Okay. So they just wanted to hear people complain.
It's like an oligarchy.
All right. So we have signs.
Okay. I made a lot of noise about yard signs, etc. We have sign bylaws been in place for a long time. People complain, on both sides. Well, the place looks like, I think it's Steve, former selectman and stuff. Steve Holmes used to say the place looks honky-tonk and stuff.
Okay.
He used to say that. We put sign bylaws, and we had laws anyways. We recently just upgraded and modified them and cleaned it up a little bit. I don't have a problem if you follow the rules. And the only reason I made a big noise about this was it's simple philosophy. If we can't do something as simple as following a sign bylaw rule, then every other rule we have in place doesn't work. And if we can't enforce and make these work, why do we have any laws at all? I remember years ago I was on the Marine Fisheries Commission for the State Division of Marine Fisheries, and I had the captain of the environmental police. It comes to every meeting we had every month. And we passed 2 or 3 new rules on fisheries. It's for recreational and for commercial. So we passed 2 new rules. I looked over to Bill, who was the captain at the time, and I said, we just passed these, can you enforce them? His answer to me was, Alan, sure we can enforce them, but tell me which ones you don't want me to enforce, which means he doesn't have the capacity to do any more than he has. We're in the same position right now. If we're gonna put rules in place, and we had people complain about, the shopping cart thing was one thing. Why do you put something in if you don't do anything?
What about the shopping carts?
I'm not sure what's going on with that. I don't see many around, but I don't know anybody that goes in and does anything with it.
Okay.
So that's one. But the idea here is that we have certain rules and regulations for a lot of things, for construction, etc. Some people observe the rules, some don't. But if you don't sit there and enforce anything at all, everybody's going to laugh and say, well, the worst thing that happened is maybe they'll fine me, maybe they won't. And the fine is so small it doesn't matter.
Okay.
So this was just me making noise about something small and simple. It's not inexpensive because technically, if you basically write up a ticket for $250, which you're allowed, but you have to do it every day you see it there, it could add to a lot of money. I had one person that was in Pinehurst that had, I think, 10 or 11 signs out. And he had 2 of them chained to the actual poles that belonged to the town or to the utility companies. I mean, he had chain around them, so you couldn't remove them, like a sandwich board. That gentleman there technically would probably, in one day alone, would have generated about almost $3,000 in fines. So what happened is the signs, except for the sandwich board signs, which we were not going to sit there and cut his chain down, are sitting in the code enforcement officer of the town hall.
Okay.
It's up to him and it's up to the town administrator if they want to go ahead and follow the rules and do that. We have 2 others, people that have also violated the law in the last couple of weeks. The signs are sitting at town hall, with the code enforcement officer, and I'm waiting to see what they're going to do.
Now, is the problem that there's a lot of clutter around? What is the issue?
Well, the thing is, first of all, you don't sit there and bang nails into signs, okay? Because anybody that just walks by puts their hand up and cut themselves, etc. It's not your property. You can't put nails into trees and stuff because you kill the trees. If you want to put a sign up, there's rules and regulations for it. You can stick it in the ground. Private property is fine. But you just can't sit and put it wherever you feel like it. It's as simple as that. It's just a matter of, it's not your property. You have no right to put it up there. Yes, well, I'm going to have a yard sale, so it helps me to do this. But at the end of the day, you have to follow the way it goes.
Okay.
You can't just sit there and do it. It's a simple, easy thing to do. And the people half the time leave the signs up, never take them down. And they fall on the ground and someone's got to clean them up, etc.
Have you fined anybody since then?
I'm waiting. There's 3 people we should be finding. If we don't do anything at the town level,
It's sending a wrong message.
it's not only sending the wrong message. I'm going to ask, why do we have fines for anything? Why do we bother? Why have a code enforcement officer if we're not going to do anything?
Well, to all of you that have broken the rule, the bylaw, Selectman Alan Slavin is doing his very best to make sure that you get the fine you deserve.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Well, this concludes this morning's program. Thank you so much for joining us. The show will be rebroadcasted this evening at 6 p.m. Rather than that, we'll be back on Monday with more. Thanks to Selectman Alan Slavin for being here this morning for our Coffee Chat segment. And with that, I will wish you all a wonderful, sunny weekend. Bye, Wareham.
Bye, Wareham.